What's up, Dirty Birdies? This is your favorite Castle Rock podcast, or maybe your second or third favorite. Who cares? It's the Watch on the Couch, Castle Rock. I am one half of your host. My name is Chris Nays. Here is the other half. Her name is
Debbie Hodges.
And we are here for the 6th episode of Season 2.
Just flying by.
It really is. And, you know, we did a couple of doubled up episodes, so it's going even faster.
Yes, for sure.
This episode was called The Mother, and we're going to get to that in a second, but I have some other things we have to get to first.
Ooh, that kind of rhymed.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I have a rare opportunity to plug something that I'm doing that is not this show.
Ooh.
My band from high school is going to do a reunion show.
A birthday bash, right?
Yeah, so we used to do a bunch of Justin's birthday shows. Justin Poole kind of was our pseudo manager
Right.
back in the day. He would just book our shows. It didn't really go anything beyond that. He didn't have any influence over us, really.
And promotional. He helped promotionally.
Sure. I mean, you know, everybody in the band was pretty lazy about the kind of stuff when we were a fully functioning band. So, like, you know, he would basically do the dirty work, right?
I remember at the old library, you guys coming in and printing off flyers one time.
Yeah, I will take your word for that. I don't remember that at all.
I remember it happening with some band.
Yeah, the library is where the copy machine is.
And it's also where you can get the free copies.
Yeah. So, end of January or February 1st. So either the 25th or February 1st will be when the show is.
And where's it at?
It will be at Foo Bar, most likely. But we haven't really nailed down exactly all the details yet.
You want to do that?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Before the show happens, I will have more concrete details about it. However, right now, all you need to know is that a show is happening, and I would like listeners of our show to be there if you would like to be there.
Or be square.
Or be square. Moving on, I need to tell you about a dream that I had.
Oh, okay.
This is actually, I have to tell you about two dreams in order for this story to completely make sense.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks ago, I had this dream where it turns out I was involved in some kind of terrorist act.
Oh, no.
What happens is I come into the dream just before a large building explodes very close to me. Okay. I get in my Jeep and I take off, and I get to some kind of checkpoint area. It's like I'm moving state to state or something like that. Or like I'm in an airport. I don't really know dreams are crazy. Sometimes you don't really know what's going on.
There's a station where you have to go through and there's guards, though.
There's guards around. As I'm making my way away from this explosion, police are already setting up checkpoint-ish kind of things where they're questioning me.
Like a perimeter.
Yeah. And in this dream, I feel really guilty. I obviously had something to do with the large explosion. Then I get to, like I said, this like airport or something like that, and they are keeping everyone confined to this area. They're not letting people leave. They're like quarantining this city type area,
right,
because somebody within that city had something to do with it. Turns out it was me and some other accomplices that I never was able to figure out. No, I never conferred with anybody during the dream.
Yeah.
So I don't know who else was involved, but obviously I was, and I remember saying to myself, like, this is the last time I'm ever involved in anything like this, because obviously I'm about to get caught or something.
I'm never doing this again.
So about a week or so later, this past week since we've podcasted, I had another dream. And in this dream, I'm in a classroom. And my teacher is none other than Mr. Stephen King himself.
Oh, goodness.
So he says to me,
like today's version of Stephen King, or like a older 80s version?
Yeah, it's a today's version. So he's aged.
Okay.
Right? To what he looks like today. And he asked the class to tell, or ask for somebody to tell about a nightmare that they had. So I raised my hand immediately. I'm like, I had this crazy nightmare very recently where I was a part of a terrorist plot, and I go on to explain.
This is like an Inception type dream.
It is. It was super odd. I don't remember ever having connected dreams like this before. To where I'm referencing a dream that I had.
Yeah, you're like, wait, I got this crazy dream.
So I tell him about it, and he loves it. He's like, "That's the perfect example." And he starts asking other class people about their dreams and stuff, but I'm too chuffed about what just happened to me. Stephen King is my substitute teacher for the day or whatever, or maybe he's just a guest speaker in the classroom or something like that.
And he loved what you said.
He loved what I said. Now, I think that this happened because in Salem's Lot, the writer in the story gets to be a guest speaker in the class, and I have very recently read that.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I think that's what triggered this to happen. But I just thought it was interesting, and, of course, pertains to stuff that we're talking about. So,
I just find it interesting that you're referencing other dreams and dreams.
I know. I don't anticipate that happening again.
It's crazy.
But very cool. And now we are to our lightning round of news, and I gotta pull up the
audio
clip of us. Loading.
What is the lightning noise?
Well, that sounds more, like crashing, crumbling. Oh. That's never not gonna crack me up. Lightning round of news. Very quickly, let's talk about some Stephen King things. Debbie, have you seen Dr. Sleep yet?
No.
It came out last weekend.
I know.
Neither of us saw it.
I haven't had a chance, and I'm kind of bummed about like what I'm hearing, like review-wise.
Well, I haven't really dug into in-depth reviews about it, but it did bomb at the box office.
Yeah.
It only came in second for the weekend. It should have been an easy
win,
runaway. Number one at the box office because it's supposed to be a big movie.
I wonder why nobody went.
Well, I have some thoughts on that, but we didn't go.
I know,
and we're both huge Stephen King fans, so that says something.
And we wanted to see it.
Yeah, I had a busy weekend last weekend. 2 band practices and one of my only days off, so that's kind of what kept me from going.
Yeah, I had Dexter.
Yeah.
And then my one free day, I did outside stuff because it was gorgeous.
So I think at least in the St. Louis area, that probably had something to do with it. It was really nice.
Yeah, for sure. It was beautiful this weekend.
Right. My thoughts on it are like, it's a sequel to the Stanley Kubrick, right? Mm. While also being based on a Stephen King novel, so it works for both.
Right.
The Stanley Kubrick fans, I could see them not wanting to go and see it because Stanley Kubrick's dead.
Right.
So he has nothing to do with this, and you're making a sequel to his movie. I could see.
And if Jack Nicholson was the draw for you.
Yeah, and he's not in it.
Right.
And, it's just a whole new thing based on an old thing that is very beloved. So I totally get why people would be sort of hesitant to go and check out this movie. I think just getting people to go to the movies for sequels is a tough thing anyway. Like,
Right.
especially a sequel that's many years later.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a superhero movie.
Yeah. Well, Terminator also bombed.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was a few weeks ago.
And they put all their monies in that.
Yeah, and I think it's also, we're in sort of the doldrums of movie release
Yeah.
of the year. You know what I mean? Like, I really think if this had been released a couple weeks earlier, before Halloween or the weekend of Halloween or whatever, the week of, it probably would have done better.
I wonder if something else came out that weekend that they didn't want to go against.
I don't remember what came out Halloween week.
Because, you know, if a studio owns several movies,
Mhm.
they stagger them.
Right.
Or if you think you're going to get slaughtered in the
Yeah.
box office, then they stagger it.
I do know that Dr. Sleep lost to Midway, which is a military movie, right?
Yeah.
Based on the Battle of Midway from World War II.
And it's got a Jonas brother in it.
Right. It came out during the week of Veterans Day. So I think that's actually going to have some staying power because older people generally don't make it weekend of opening for
Right.
movies. I don't see Dr. Sleep getting a second week bump.
I mean, maybe it'll be one of those things that does better for home release or something.
Possibly. We're having cat interruptions. I just got smashed in the face by my microphone.
Welcome to my world.
Here it comes. So all of this said, it's kind of unfortunate, but I will still be going to the theater to see it. Potentially we'll talk about it on a one-off episode for this podcast.
Yeah.
Once we both see it. So I don't know if you have plans to go to the theater.
I do want to see it in theaters.
If we both get to the theater to see it, we will talk about it for sure. But that will necessitate us going. So,
like if I have a random day off,
Mhm.
I might go see it in the morning. But it all depends on how long it stays in theaters.
Yeah. Well, I would anticipate at least for the next month or so. It'll
You
still
think?
be. And like Terminator, I'm going to see Terminator tomorrow. It's been in theaters going on about a month, I think, and that's almost ready to go.
Oh,
so
wow. It's been a month that it's been out?
at least 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. This might be its 4th week. So, moving on, Gwendy's Button Box, the sort of novella-ish length thing that he co-wrote with another guy, that's turning into a trilogy, and Steven is sort of handing off the reins to this other guy. So,
As far as writing it? Or?
Yeah. I believe Steven wrote the foreword to the second one that's getting ready to come out, or will be coming out within the next couple months or something like that. But I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm hoping, I believe it's in good hands because I couldn't really tell the difference between the two guys.
Well, that's good.
You know?
They flowed well together.
Yeah, for sure. So, Gwendy's Button Box, look for that. It's
It sounds like such a dirty name for a
um,
book. Gwendy's Button Box.
yeah, I wish I could like reference it and tell you what it's about, but it's been a couple years since I read it, so I can't really.
It's
do
about
that.
Gwendy's Button Box.
Yeah, it is, but what exactly is that? I think it's like a cursed box, like toy box of some kind.
I'm imagining it's either a box of buttons or it's her button box. Mm-hmm.
I think you open it up and there's button-ish things inside of it, and it does terrible things to people when she messes around with it. I think that's what it is.
Ooh,
Don't quote me.
quoting.
Please don't. The Stand remake is currently filming in Vancouver. There are photos being posted online of the victims of the Captain Trips virus. They look pretty intense.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You know, if you remember the miniseries.
I remember it.
I don't know if you've read the book or not, but
No.
very terrible things happen to the entire world,
Right.
practically, and
Except for a few select people.
right, and the victims of said virus, and then the violence that ensues are pretty brutal. And the photos that they have posted show various dead people,
Ah.
so you can look that stuff up if you'd like.
If you see a picture of Skarsgård in his Randall Flagg getup,
Mm-hmm.
send that to me.
They definitely have not posted that yet.
Yeah, if you see that, I want to see it.
It was there's no cast members. It's all, extras and or dummies.
Just sets, yeah.
Right. So there's that. That is the end of lightning round of news. Shall we get to the episode?
Sure.
All right. So on to episode 6, entitled The Mother. We left off last episode with, let's see, it was Rita getting the call from Joy, correct?
Right.
Okay. So this episode opens up with Rita waking up stabbed, right?
Yeah, it was the flashback.
She has the scissors in her stomach or chest or whatever. And then moves quickly to Rita present day in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting.
Right.
She is talking about her life, as an alcoholic and
drug addict.
And she's talking about how, they probably know who she is because the story
Was national.
apparently got out and was a big deal in the news at the time.
Yeah.
She says, even people like us can turn the page, but the subtext of this is that doesn't mean that she's happy.
No.
Or that she's not haunted by this insane thing that happened to her.
Yeah, it's definitely affected her entire life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, after that, we see her working,
in
as
a grocery store.
in a grocery store, and she's like doing the cart corral
Right.
sort of thing. Then we go to the moment of the phone call from Joy from the last episode.
Yeah.
And we see that a quick internet search today will find you pretty much whatever you need.
What's funny is anytime anybody calls me, I always Google search that phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And at no point in time is it ever that helpful.
No, usually what will come up will be like, it'll say like, it'll have a star rating of how likely it is that this is a, what do you call those? Spam call, right.
Or they want you to pay for it.
Right,
They're
exactly.
like, we'll give you this information if you give us money.
Right, there's those websites where you can pay to do that, which you have to be a little, like, maybe a little more paranoid than you or I are to pay to see who is actually calling you. Like, it's not that big of a deal for me. If I know it's a number that doesn't normally call, then obviously it is not something you want to pick up, right?
Right.
So she sees the name of the friend of Joy's, right?
Yeah, Chance.
Yeah. It's either Chance's mom or it's her. I can't remember if that. I think it says Georgia, so I don't know if that's her name.
That's her real first name, I believe.
So then we go to the Mellow Tiger with Annie.
Yeah.
From where we left off with her, she was getting drunk and Ace showed up, right? And we sort of had our thoughts about where that could go. It could only be bad, really, right?
Yeah.
Turns out it didn't end up as bad as we might have thought it was.
I mean, it's still going to be bad, but...
Yeah. So Ace convinces her quite easily that their confrontation was just a dream.
Yeah.
Now she's wasted. So she's like laughing about it.
Well, they're both laughing.
Yeah.
I just loved how when he first walked up, he was like, "Oh, hello."
Right.
Like, fancy meeting you here,
Yeah.
person who killed me but didn't kill me.
Yeah. So she does have like a oh no look for a second, but then I think the alcohol does its trick on her and she goes a little into crazy land.
Yeah.
So he walks her home to safety.
I know.
What
the hell?
We can only assume from the previous things where people are in rather precarious situations, and he ends up, kidnapping them or murdering them or whatever.
Yeah.
Back to the Marston house. We should assume that's exactly what's going to happen with her, but he just takes her back to the lodge.
Yeah. Well, I had a feeling he was saving her for something.
Yeah, obviously he has ulterior motives going on.
Yeah.
Something in store for her beyond what he could have done to her, right?
Right. And I know, it was just so sweet. He's just tucking her in on the couch.
Well, it would be sweet if we didn't know what we know about him.
He
right?
wasn't like a body snatcher.
Yeah. So then we go to Nadia and Joy at the safe house sort of situation. A quick scene between them.
Yeah.
Where she's saying, you'll be safe here, just chill.
And this is all falling apart for Annie because
Right.
now more and more people are getting involved.
Right. We see a pop voicemail apology to Nadia, right?
Yeah.
Turns out Abdi has known about this situation between the three of them for 5 years.
Yeah. That's not good.
No, that's not good, because in the very next scene, Nadia is throwing all of Abdi's shit out onto the lawn.
Well, because Pop assumes that by now she's spoken to Abdi,
Mhm.
and in reality she hasn't. So he's spilling even more beans in the voicemail.
Yeah. So Ace says that, I'm sorry, Abdi says that Ace used the knowledge of the situation to fuck with him. Ace apparently found out through the mail somehow.
Right.
And, seeing that Abdi has kind of stuck by Nadia and, lives with her, I don't really see this as the ultimate betrayal that Nadia does.
Yeah.
I think she's just really upset.
Yeah, I feel like when push comes to shove, they're going to protect each other. Like when the shit literally hits the fan with everything else.
Yeah, like Nadia says, you are my only person in this world that is my blood, the only person I can depend on, and you've done this to me. I get where she's coming from,
Yeah.
but both of these people also don't realize the gravity of what is going on all around them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, if they knew that stuff, they would, maybe chill a little bit on this situation and work
Decide
on,
they both need to get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we go to a young couple who get murdered in their home.
Lance and Heather.
Right.
I wrote down their names.
And the bugs are sort of the harbinger of something is about ready to happen, right?
Yeah.
Anytime these bugs are around, you know that shit's about to go bad.
Right.
So as soon as I saw, I think on the subtitles it said, bugs.
The subtitles kind of give things away sometimes.
They do, for sure. I was like, okay, well, now I know what's going to happen, So that was kind of lame. But
they do mention in the scene, because he wants to marry her and he wants to buy her a ring, and she says, don't buy me a ring, buy me drugs.
Yeah.
Which is important for what happens next.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it seemed weird in the moment. Why? Okay, why are you showing us these druggies?
Yeah. That's the thing with this, especially this season, is it seems like everything that happens is a key to something that happens
else
later.
Yeah.
It's I find it very well put together.
Everything means something.
So I end up writing down everything.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which early on the season of this podcast, we said we weren't going to do that as much.
It's
but
so
we
hard not
I know,
to.
we kind of have to. So at least for the way this show works for us.
Yeah.
So then we go to Ace submerging their corpses in water inside these Dracula-like coffins.
I called it goop.
Yeah.
Resurrection goop.
That's apt, I think. It seems like he wants to Use Annie as a vessel for this person that is written on the coffin itself.
Yeah.
And it says the year 1600 something on it.
Right. Which, this all goes back to my original theory of body snatchers.
Yeah.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
It's body snatchers.
So, but that's also very close to the Salem's Lot thing, because, turning people into vampires, they also come back from the dead. So
Yeah.
it's just a sort of sidestep from that.
So here's my question, though.
What is your question?
How did Ace get resurrected? Who put him in the goop?
Well, I think when he falls down into that shaft, he's down. The goop is in that sort
But he's not submerged.
underground.
Like the whole process doesn't happen for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a more powerful spirit that gets him, or the
Right.
most of the head spirit or whatever gets him first.
Maybe so that way he can continue on.
Yeah, nobody knows. We don't know.
That damn hole, man. It's just confusing me. Everything about that hole is just.
The hole of confusion.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So he says, he references the name later, but on the coffin it's Amity. So and that year, that date that I mentioned from the 1600s. So
and he calls her my love, my prophet.
right.
You will rise, and Annie.
So the DFS visit Annie.
Oops.
That's not good.
Nope.
She just stalls and is like, "I'm sick. Go away."
Well, yeah, because their house is trashed.
Yeah. Because they're gonna check out the house, obviously, to make sure it's livable. That's what DFS does.
Yeah. And they want paperwork on Joy,
Mm-hmm.
which she does not have.
So the DFS guy leaves, and
I know. When will you not be contagious?
right.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Rita then arrives in town, and she is questioning Georgia at this address that she found on the internet. Right.
Yeah.
Georgia's instinct, which totally fits the character, is to protect her friend,
Which is
in
Chance.
Joy. Right.
Yeah.
Annie sees Rita after Rita gets done talking to Georgia or Chance or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Before Rita sees Annie, and she quickly hides.
She books it into the back of the house.
Right. And she starts gathering the stuff in the house to make it on the run again.
Yeah.
And she notices the lockbox that Joy stole.
Yep.
So we're getting interconnected plots again. It's tying up things really nicely for us. Like, how long is it going to take for Annie to realize that the box is gone? It's important to her. She should have maybe noticed it a little earlier than she has.
She's been having some other things.
Things
going
are
on.
happening. She's getting wasted.
Yeah. The person she killed is bringing her back home.
Right. So Ace speaks with a new convert or a new resurrected person.
Yeah,
right?
we're back at the manor.
Right, we're back at the Marston house, and he's speaking with one of them, and it's while there's construction going on around the house. It's sort of like one of those TV shows where they're rehabbing.
I thought he was speaking to his brother. I thought.
You're right.
Him and his brother were having a discussion.
It was the not Chris.
Yeah.
Version of Chris.
Because he was talking about how he needs to speak English.
Right. Yeah. Reminding him, like, you need to play it like we're in the place that we are. Everybody in this time speaks English all the time. So you got to play the role, right? Ace says that Amity said that the end would come in this time period, right? 400 years later.
Yeah, in 4 days.
In 4 days, or the last 4 episodes of the season.
Exactly.
So, I have some thoughts on that. I don't know. Maybe I'll get to it a little bit later, but like, just generally speaking, I kind of wish he wouldn't have said that.
4 days.
Yeah, because that just plans out the rest of we know certain things have to happen for certain characters to make it all the way to the end. So that sort of ruins some stuff that happened in this episode for me.
Okay.
But we'll get to that. So the female of the two who they submerged in the coffins, Heather disappeared when they go to resurrect her. But the male comes out of the coffin, and he's he's supposed to be, one of these creatures.
He's been goopified.
Right, exactly. But when they go to resurrect the female from the female coffin, she is gone.
She's just gone.
Yeah. So
I feel like somebody would have noticed.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's a microwave period they have to leave them in for so long before they're cooked and ready to go. I don't know.
You would think you would have like one person just watching them.
Yeah, exactly. So then we go to Nadia listening to a voicemail in her car, and within about 5 seconds, we get a jump scare.
Yeah.
Which I was like, whoa! Hello. The escaped woman is vomiting all over her car window.
Yeah, gross.
And she's got goop all over her.
I mean, best person she could have, like, run up and scared.
Yeah.
A doctor.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's probably the best person she could have ran into in that moment. But besides maybe a police officer, although the police are already
infected
goo creatures as well. So,
yeah.
Or at least one of them is, and he's running over children.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we go back to Rita. She's trying to call the FBI. This has obviously happened before by the way that this conversation happens. She's been on the trail of Annie and Joy for a while.
Right.
But she's always been kind of out of Rita's grasp at the last minute, it seems like.
And she had been heavily influenced with drugs and alcohol before,
right.
So they have a...
And they know who she is.
Yeah, they have less chance of believing her.
Right. They've closed this case a while ago because it's been 16 years or whatever, and sometimes cases go cold, right? So Chance or George's mom,
this is Vera.
So
the friend.
Yeah. She had overheard the conversation between Rita and her daughter earlier, and heard Rita said, "I'll give you $500 if you tell me where she is." That's what you call burping off of mic, by the way. The mom knows where Joy is, so she's like, "I'll take you to her now for $500."
I don't think that's the mom. I think that's their friend Vera. Remember when they all went out on the boat?
Oh, that's
the other girl.
Okay, I didn't recognize her from earlier, but I also am not rewatching these episodes, so
yeah, it's just the friend Vera.
Okay, so I guess Vera doesn't have the, need to protect Joy.
Allegiance, yeah.
Yeah.
She wants the money.
Also, thank you for correcting me. Because we could have gone through the rest of this episode, and I would have just thought that was her mom. Annie goes to the safe house at the same time for Joy.
Right.
The receptionist says she's with her mom.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Annie is like, okay, well, I gotta leave then, because this is not where I need to be. They're gonna be on to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rita's there, of course, and Rita spills the beans about the entire thing.
Yeah, she doesn't
Joy.
hold anything back. No, there's something I need to tell you.
Yeah.
This is gonna be hard. It's just, here it is.
Joy / Evangeline is really upset by all
Obviously.
this information, understandably so.
Because she just found out her mom is her sister mom.
Yeah. And it makes sense for her character. At 16, you wouldn't be able to process this kind of crazy information.
No.
And she kind of, I think what Rita in her heart of hearts wants Joy to do is just run into her open arms and run away back to a real life with her.
Right.
But she is not willing to do so. She says, I need time, come back tomorrow, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, because she's not Evangeline. She's Joy.
Right.
And you can't
All
just,
she's ever
you can't
known
just
is
switch
her
that
sister.
off. Yeah.
Or her mom as she knows her.
Right.
So Rita goes back to the hotel sort of place that she's staying in, and she relapses immediately.
Yeah, she has lots of little drinks.
That also makes sense for an addict, because a lot of addicts, despite having many years of sobriety, will still have alcohol in their house.
Right.
It's just a thing that happens, and relapses pretty much always happen.
Well, and she's in a hotel, so it's not like it was already there for her.
Yeah, they don't really show if she brought it with her to the town, or if she
they're
went and picked
they're the
it
little
up.
bottles, so I
Right.
just assumed they came with the mini fridge.
Yeah. I'm certainly possible. And, I just think it totally fits. Like, for her to be in such a crazy emotional state. Like, that is when addicts relapse.
Right.
You know what I mean? When they don't have a support system, they're out on their own, you know?
She's at her wit's end.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's the whole Alcoholics Anonymous thing is set up for us to be a support system for you, you know?
Yeah.
The other addicts, one of them will sponsor you, and you call that person, and they are non-judgmental. They are very far along in this sobriety. They help you.
Yeah, they
deal
talk
with,
you off the
right,
ledge.
Exactly. So she obviously doesn't have anybody around her like
No.
that, and I don't think Castle Rock and or Jerusalem's Lot doesn't seem like a town that would have
No.
a bustling Alcoholics Anonymous meeting going on. Maybe so, though. I don't know. It's a crazy town.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are. So then we see Annie writing a goodbye message of some kind, which we get a little bit later. Go back to the hospital. Turns out that Heather lady now has 2 blood types.
Yeah. Oops.
That's weird. So.
And was that nurse, was she a body snatcher already? Because they alluded to that, but I don't remember her being body snatched.
I don't believe I ever saw her as one before, but yes, by the look that she gives, one must assume.
Yeah. Well,
right?
and she's like, whatever. She has 2 blood types. It's cute.
Right. Then it's almost immediate after the blood type conversation. She goes to Heather's room, Nadia does, and Heather's missing again.
Gone.
From a different place this time. Turns out she's back in the Marston house again. The nurse lady must have tipped them off.
Right.
Right. And the key we get here is that, as you were alluding to earlier, the meds for the antipsychotic meds, I guess,
Yeah.
are a key that will for sure come up later because they weaken the change or
Right.
whatever. That it confuses whatever these entities are that take over these bodies.
This
right?
is like the only thing we know of that can help.
Right. So you got to think Annie is also on these meds, or on and off of them.
Right.
Somehow that is going to come into play.
Right. And because Nadia is a doctor and she was there and she knows who this other person is, that she's always on drugs and she thought it was an overdose, she's going to have the wherewithal, I think, to think, oh, okay, this is what could stop them.
Right. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, that most likely will come to fruition in some way.
Right.
I don't see how it couldn't. They've mentioned it twice in one episode. There's no way it's not.
It's important.
Yeah. Joy's also missing from the safe house. And she goes and meets with Annie and her friend.
In the woods.
In the woods. They're at some kind of hunter's, set up in the woods, right? It's like one of these.
It's like a platform of something.
Yeah. It's where it's like hunters set up that kind of thing in the woods on their property so they can go and chill out. Yeah. And wait for the deer to come to them. Basically.
It's not like a true deer stand where it's up in
No.
the trees, but it's like a raised platform.
Right. Annie, in this conversation with Joy, basically is telling her about her love for Joy, and that is the only thing that saves her from herself, her good and her bad selves, right?
Right.
Joy kind of susses out that Annie's plan was to murder-suicide both of them, right? So Joy, knowing that now, or at least inferring that, says, you need to just run and go hide.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, because Annie said Joy's laugh is what saved them both.
Right. So that's a pretty heavy thing, again, for Joy to know about.
Yeah, I almost was dead.
The friend wants them to go on the run out of state.
Sounds like a good plan.
It does, for sure. I mean, everybody on the show should leave this town.
Yeah.
Before anything worse happens.
Everybody go their separate ways.
Yeah. And that's the thing with scary movies or shows is like the audience is always like, you need to leave
Just
this place.
leave.
Just go. But everybody's seemingly stuck in this town for lots of reasons,
Yeah. Just
So-
go. Make a clean break.
Right. Of course, within this episode at least, nobody is leaving. Nadia also wants to leave, and not Chris is giving her wine.
Yeah.
So that's bad.
Yeah. And saying he will leave with her.
That's the last scene that we get with her. So do you have any predictions with Nadia with what this situation is going to happen with her?
I mean, he got her wine drunk for a reason. I feel like he's going to somehow bring her back to the manor.
Yeah, do you think that she's going to become one of the undead, or do you think she's
I
going
don't
to
know,
escape
because
from that? It
I
seems
need-
like
I-
she's smarter than that,
Well-
like to get roped into this. But he's getting her drunk.
Yeah.
So
But we need her to be the one to save everybody.
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
end. So I
I
don't
don't know
know
that she's going to be that, though. I think like she might be the MacGuffin or whatever. Like they're like, look over here for this character to help save everybody. But then it turns out she's not going to be the one.
Yeah.
I think actually Annie's going to be the one that saves people, even though, because she's, at least what we've seen so far, she's the most resourceful,
Right.
especially in this next thing that we get. Again, she rises to the occasion.
Like, you think she's going to have her redemption?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of just makes sense dramatically because she's the most flawed character
Yeah.
on the show. I think that is not a undead creature of some
Yeah.
kind. Like she's the most, I guess maybe the most human, and the audience sees themselves in her because she wrestles with being a good and a bad person that she can't control herself sometimes,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Rita also, we see ourselves in her because she's been wronged.
Yeah.
She's essentially
She's a survivor.
a good person that was just completely taken advantage of and
Fucked up.
fucked completely, right? So, well, let's get to this last run of this episode, shall we?
Okay.
Annie is at home, or goes home, and Rita is there with a fucking gun.
Yeah. Listening to a voicemail from Joy and blowing her off.
Right. So at this moment, I had to pause for a second and write down that a question for you. Odds here that Rita dies. Because I saw the situation only going one way because of what I mentioned earlier, how the Ace thing sort of ruins a plot line. It doesn't ruin it, but it sort of spoils that Annie is going to survive later.
I didn't think she wouldn't.
That's what I mean. Is like,
Yeah.
because Ace has these huge plans for her to be this,
Vessel.
whatever the major vessel person is going to be or whatever. We don't really know that much about that situation yet. We're going to find out more probably.
Yeah.
But because Annie has to survive, then she's not going to die in this situation with Rita. So I figured, well, there's a gun involved, so somebody's getting shot.
Yeah.
And it's not Annie. You know what I mean? Now, maybe Annie will get shot but survive.
She would definitely survive. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I did not see this going well for Rita.
no. And also, I did not see Rita's plot line going much further than what we got this episode. Just because, like how likely is it that Rita is going to just leave with Joy and then
Right.
Joy and Rita are just off and not in the show anymore? It's not going to go that way.
No, they're not going to get their happy ending.
Exactly. There's no way. It's just not possible. In a crazy show like this, like
Not in Stephen King land.
no. So anyway, that's why I kind of saw a little bit of this coming. You know what I mean? Not quite exactly how the situation works out, but essentially, you know what I mean?
Oh, I figured Annie was going to finish the job.
Yeah. So Joy is reading. We're back at that in the woods somewhere, and Joy is reading the goodbye letter that Annie gave her.
Yeah.
She ends it with "You're my number one fan," which totally fits. But it's also totally manipulation on
Oh, yeah.
Annie's part. It's not cool that she did that to her, but it makes sense that she would.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Annie is so fucked up in the head that Joy is literally the only person keeping her sane.
Right. So she's not wrong to do that, but at the same time, it is manipulative.
It's manipulative, but I don't feel like she knows that she's doing that.
Right. She's not like, I wouldn't say she's intentionally manipulating, but that's
what's happening.
what is happening, right?
Yeah.
So, Annie gets led by gunpoint out to the woods by Rita. Because Annie is so resourceful, she uses the whole throw the dirt in the eyes trick.
Right. And in between this, Joy has come home.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Joy goes back to the cabin.
And sees that Annie's gone.
Right.
And the door's open.
Right. So I'm not sure how Joy so easily finds them. Like, I don't know if she's a tracker or something, but like it's a wooded area around. I guess there's only so many paths.
Yeah, well,
around
and after the dirt gets thrown in Rita's face, she does start shooting
Oh
wildly.
yeah, that's right. She shoots around, so that draws.
Yeah,
you know,
you would hear that.
Then Annie gets her at gunpoint again. She
tackles her.
Right, she tackles her. Or I should say Rita gets Annie at gunpoint again.
Yeah.
Then from behind, Rita gets the old injection of
sleepy time.
And it's Joy. The gun tumbles, and this is the super slow motion thing where they're trying to make you think this character's about to get shot. This character's about to get shot. No, it's this character.
And you just hear a gun go off, and
the gun goes off, and Rita is the one who is shot, which I sort of saw that coming. But like I said, for a second, they teased both Annie and Joy. Now, I thought for a split second that Joy was going to get shot. I was
me
like,
too.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, I thought for sure it was Joy. Because they all had like a shocked look on their faces. Like any one of them could have been the one that was just shot.
Right. So, as I said, if they hadn't already teased so much with the Ace storyline with Annie, I would have possibly thought Annie might get shot at least. But no, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah. At least Annie tries to help.
Yeah, for sure. And that shows, like, she has a good side. It just goes all wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the gun just goes tumbling, and it's a super dramatic moment. I actually liked that that's sort of how this episode ends. There is a couple of little things that tack on the end of this, but they've done a really good job of, like, ramping up to the most insane situation at the end of each episode, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Really good cliffhanger-y sort of stuff that keeps you wanting more, and it's like, oh, I gotta wait another week.
I know.
If it seems like it's gonna end here for Rita. I said earlier, like, I couldn't really see her storyline going much past this, but I don't feel like that she really got her due, and I think that's where the drama lies in it. It's like, you bring in this character, and they tease you so much to, like, it's gonna work out. Her life is not gonna be completely awful, right? And
come full circle.
Yeah, but it turns out, yes, it is gonna end completely awful.
Yeah. Back where you all started.
Yeah,
with the three of them.
And it sucks, but that's just the way that it goes.
Yeah.
So then we see police car lights.
Which, how the hell did they get there so quick?
Well, they heard the gunshots.
They also heard the gunshots and knew exactly where to go.
So I'm assuming somebody called them. You can't really see the cops. It's sort of a faraway shot of the cops.
Yeah,
right?
they're like up on a hill.
So you can't really see who they are. One of them might be the cop that is already turned.
Oh, yeah.
Also, other cops might already be turned. We don't know that yet.
For sure.
Also, part two, because the cops are called and they're involved whatsoever, now the body snatcher people will know about this situation.
Yeah.
They will know exactly where Annie is. You know what I mean? So somehow she's... What Annie does at the end of this episode is says, "It was me. I did it. I did it."
Yeah, which I feel like will maybe save her a little bit because she'll end up in jail and then she won't be as readily available to be snatched.
Yeah. Well, I think...
Unless the entire police office, police force has been turned.
What I think, now that we're talking about it a little bit more and I'm thinking about it more, is that it's probably a pretty small police force. The one cop will be able to take her out of the jail, just like they were able to easily take Heather out of the hospital.
Right.
And then she will be well within their grasp. You know what I mean? It's kind of the perfect way for them to get a hold of her. It's like she is under lock and key.
And she can't go anywhere else.
She can't go anywhere else. So they can easily... I don't know that that's necessarily how it's going to happen, but it would make sense.
So then what happens to Joy after this? Does she go back to that group home?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
Is she going to be available to save everybody? Injecting him with sleepy time?
It's the logical place for her to go is back under the care of that home.
Yeah.
Because
she can't rely on Nadia.
Can Annie tell her to take off into the woods right at that situation that's still happening, and then she gets away, but then they take Annie?
Maybe.
That's one way it could go. The police certainly aren't going to just let her go back to the house alone, especially when the DFS has already been called.
For sure.
Will Annie become undead like they're planning on it? We don't know yet, but...
Will we get a glimpse of Amity in her?
Yeah, I don't know.
That could be fun. I could see that going, and then her just being like even more batshit crazy and powerful. That would be fun.
Well, I definitely think that the drugs thing is going to come into play.
For sure.
So, I don't see Annie just succumbing to their will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These creatures, or what, the undead, or the body snatchers, as we've been calling them. So it's I don't know. It's really playing out very interestingly, and there's a lot of different ways that this could go. So
for sure.
I guess that pretty much does it for this episode. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to talk about at the end here, or are you good to go?
I'm good. I just can't wait to see next episode.
And I can't wait to see people's smiling faces at the Ivory reunion. Should be cool. That's a cheap plug at the end of this episode.
Okay, so going back to the episode, I feel like next episode, they're not going to show us anything that remotely has to do with anything we just saw.
It's possible.
Because they're really good about that. They're really good about being like, oh, remember that oh shit moment? Yeah, you're not going to see anything about that next week.
So would it just be the body snatchers?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, we're going to focus more on Ace and Chris and
them taking over the town.
Yeah, maybe like what happens with Nadia.
Yeah. What's kind of cool about how this is playing out while I'm reading Salem's Lot is that they kind of like run concurrently. Like things are happening in a lot of very similar way, you know? Because the town is such a burg, it's not really like a big major city.
Yeah.
It's feasible that under the wire, people are disappearing and not that many people are noticing.
Yeah.
And they're acting... that's a difference, is like the vampires don't act normal. They are in hiding and that kind of thing. So like...
Yeah, these people aren't hiding.
Right.
They're acclimating.
And they're... they're acting like very creepy versions of themselves, but essentially they're hiding in plain sight, Well,
because their personality's gone.
Right. Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about them just being calm versions of themselves. I don't know that that's that convincing. You know what I mean? Like when Chris is basically liquoring up Nadia in this episode. It's like, shouldn't she notice? Like, they're essentially brother and sister. Shouldn't she at least notice like something is odd about
don't call
him?
him brother and sister. They're having sex with each other.
Oh yeah, no, I guess not. I didn't see them having sex with each other. When does that happen?
It was like insinuated when she got out of bed with him, like one episode,
Yeah,
and
I
then
guess I missed
she wants him to run away with her. They're like secret lovers.
Okay. Well, it must have been real secret to me because I didn't pick up on any of those vibes.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah, they definitely show her getting out of bed with him. Because that's when she leaves to go investigate at Pop's store.
Well, again, I'm glad that I am here and able to have these conversations with you because, like, stuff like that, which could come into play, like, it would have totally gone under the wire for me. I don't know if it's because I'm so focused on other things, maybe,
Just don't call him brother, sister.
No, I won't. I definitely won't now. Okay, that does it for this episode. If you like it, please
put a ring on it.
Put a ring on it. I don't know that that's how the lyrics go in that song.
I'm pretty sure if you like it, then you better put a ring on it.
Maybe.
It's totally the lyrics. But you're not up on your Beyonce?
I'm not. Unless she guest stars on this show.
Weird.
Which the only time I've ever seen her guest star in anything was the Austin Powers like third movie or something like that.
Oh, yeah. It's because she got paid heavily. Whoa.
Oh, my God. Things are happening here at the
Kinsley's a little
at the cat house.
Jacked up on catnip, apparently.
Share the show with your friends and family.
And your foes.
Your coworkers. Your fellow librarians. And give us a rating if you listen to us on iTunes because we still only have 4 and then 1 really bad review. We're still stagnant at that same amount of people.
And now this guy can bitch again.
Yeah.
About burping, even though it was off mic. That time. I know. It was off. Every time is off mic.
It seems like we bring up this burping thing every episode, too.
We're just keeping it alive.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for listening, and until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.